Roger Moore, the iconic actor known for his suave portrayals of debonair heroes, delivered what many consider his greatest performance in the 1970 psychological thriller The Man Who Haunted Himself. This film, while often overshadowed by Moore's larger-than-life roles as James Bond and Simon Templar in The Saint, stands as an underrated gem that showcases a depth in Moore's acting that was rarely given the chance to shine. Though his legacy is often defined by wit, charm, and an effortless coolness. The Man Who Haunted Himself offers a glimpse of Moore as an actor capable of much more than he was typically credited for. It is no secret that some critics, both during Moore's career and after, made fun of his perceived limited range. Detractors often claimed that Moore's performances were one note, suggesting that his skill set didn't extend far beyond his trademark wry quip, suave demeanour, and a raised eyebrow while seducing women or fighting villains. However, this assessment does Moore a disservice. In fact, Moore was fully aware of his acting limitations and embraced them with remarkable self-awareness.
I have made an absolute fortune out of just being terribly suave.
He famously acknowledged that his forte was more about looking cool in a suit than delivering Shakespearean monologues.
You think that your looks have held you back from doing, say, Richard III or Hamlet or...
You always put yourself down when people ask you about acting, because you do, don't you?
Well, I've stopped doing that.
You have?
No, I now say I'm marvellous.
You do?
It's precisely because of this self-awareness that he honed his strengths and, in doing so, became a beloved screen icon. Moore himself was his own biggest critic, admitting that he wasn't the greatest actor and that he excelled at playing variations of a particular role, suave, charming, and unflappable, whether in The Saint or as the legendary James Bond. In fact, it was Moore who jokingly remarked, "I only have 3 expressions as Bond: right eyebrow raised, left eyebrow raised, both eyebrows raised." Despite the criticisms, Moore's ability to make these performances both effortless and endlessly entertaining should not be underestimated. His star power was undeniable, and audiences gravitated toward his charisma. It was in The Man Who Haunted Himself that Moore was given the rare opportunity to stretch his acting muscles beyond the smooth-talking, action hero type he was known for. In interviews, Moore often referred to the film as his favourite role of his career, and with good reason. "It was one of the few times I was allowed to act," he once remarked, with a knowing self-deprecation. A terrible admission from someone who has made a living walking in front of cameras. This admission reveals Moore's frustration at being typecast and his desire to take on more complex characters. In The Man Who Haunted Himself, he did exactly that. The film tells the story of Harold Pelham, a conservative businessman who experiences a near-fatal car crash, only to recover and find that a doppelganger is slowly taking over his life. This sinister double begins to unravel Pelham's personal and professional life, making decisions on his behalf and engaging in behaviours that are completely at odds with the man Pelham knows himself to be. This gave Moore the opportunity to portray not just one character, but 2 sides of a fractured identity. On one hand, he plays the real Pelham, repressed, awkward, and emotionally rigid. On the other hand, he plays his alter ego, a cavalier, sinister version of himself who embodies all the qualities Pelham lacks: charm, confidence, and sexual magnetism. In this dual role, Moore brilliantly captures the escalating paranoia and desperation of a man losing control over his life. As Pelham, Moore plays against his usual type, conveying a staid, somewhat dull figure, a man whose life is defined by routine and convention. This side of his performance is restrained, even vulnerable, something rarely associated with Moore. Conversely, as the mysterious double, Moore channels his trademark coolness, but with an added menace. This doppelganger is like a dark reflection of his James Bond persona, suave but dangerous, debonair but with an edge of malevolence. The contrast between the 2 performances shows Moore's ability to oscillate between vulnerability and sinister charm, proving he had a wider range than he was often credited for. One of the most remarkable aspects of Moore's performance is how he embodies the increasing mania of Harold Pelham. As the doppelganger's influence grows, Pelham becomes more and more unhinged, and Moore's portrayal of a man spiralling into madness is palpable. The panic and fear in his eyes, the quiet unravelling of a previously buttoned-up man, and the desperation in his voice all make this a standout performance. Moore's ability to make this transformation believable is what elevates the film from a mere psychological thriller into something more memorable. His sinister counterpart, meanwhile, plays with shades of the confident, seductive personas Moore had perfected in other roles, but here it is imbued with a darkness and sense of danger that contrasts with the heroic characters he would go on to embody. Thematically, The Man Who Haunted Himself delves into questions of identity and the fear of losing control over oneself. It can be read as a metaphor for personal identity and the inherent dualities within all of us. Pelham's struggle is not just against an external force, but an internal one, a version of himself that he can neither control nor recognise. This idea of battling one's own darker impulses resonates throughout the film, making it a compelling exploration of self-identity. At the same time, The Man Who Haunted Himself never loses its sense of fun. It's a film that straddles the line between psychological drama and entertainment, never taking itself too seriously, even as it asks existential questions. Ultimately, The Man Who Haunted Himself is a testament to Roger Moore's talent, proving that he was capable of more nuanced performances when given the opportunity. It is a film that deserves far more recognition than it has received, both for its inventive storytelling and for Moore's tour de force dual performance. For those who dismiss Roger Moore as merely the man with the raised eyebrow and the effortless quip, The Man Who Haunted Himself stands as a potent reminder that he was, in fact, a far more versatile actor than many ever gave him credit for.